Our journey to Mackinac Island started with a ferry ride across the Straits of Mackinac. There's something about sitting on the deck, the wind rushing past as the gulls wheel overhead, and watching the mainland slowly fade that just sets you in the mood for adventure. As we moved further out, the Mackinac Bridge came into view, a true icon of Michigan. Stretching 5 miles, it's one of the longest suspension bridges in the world. When it opened in 1957, it was a marvel of engineering that forever changed how the people connected from the upper and lower peninsulas. As we began our approach to the island, the Grand Hotel came into view. Its sprawling white facade and famous wraparound porch stretching out like it's welcoming you from afar. The porch alone is a marvel. It's the longest in the world at 660 feet, lined with rows of rocking chairs that have been watching over Lake Huron for generations. And as the ferry glided closer to the harbor, the full charm of Mackinac Island started to reveal itself. Quaint buildings with colorful trim and intricate woodwork lined the waterfront. Horse-drawn carriages clip-clopped along the narrow streets, and the scent of fudge already seemed to drift across the water. It was like we were sailing straight into a living postcard. Stepping off the ferry is like stepping back in time. There are no cars, just horse-drawn carriages clattering over cobblestones, cyclists cruising, and people strolling the streets at an unhurried pace. It's a tradition dating back to 1898, when the island banned motor vehicles to preserve its tranquility. That decision shaped everything about Mackinac's character today. It's quiet, it's charming, and it feels like you've entered a different century. The Round Island Lighthouse standing proudly offshore. Built in 1895, it once guided ships safely through the often treacherous straits of Mackinac. After being decommissioned in the 1940s, it fell in despair, but thanks to preservation efforts, it is now beautifully restored and a symbol of resilience. It's amazing to think of the keepers who braved brutal winters here, with ice locking the straits and the storms battling the tower. Walking through the island streets, it's easy to get caught up in the Victorian facades and the quaint shop fronts. But long before carriages and fudge shops, Mackinac was home to the Anishinaabe people. To them, this place was sacred. Mackinac, called Mackinac, means great turtle, a nod to the island's shape when viewed from above. It was more than geography, it was spiritual, believed to be the dwelling place Gitche Manitou, the Great Spirit. This was a hub for trade and diplomacy, with native nations gathering here for centuries, before European contact. French explorers arrived in the 1600s, and soon the island became part of a vast fur trade network where indigenous trappers and French voyagers worked side by side. As we made our way uphill, the Grand Hotel came into view, and even from a distance it's breathtaking. Opened in 1887, it was built in just 93 days to cater to a growing wave of the summer tourists arriving by steamship. The hotel's porch, stretching 660 feet, is still the longest in the world. From here, guests would sip lemonade and watch schooners glide across Lake Huron. It's hosted presidents, celebrities, and even served as a filming location for Somewhere in Time, a 1980 romance movie that cemented its place in pop culture. Unfortunately, today, a private event kept us from going inside, but standing in its shadow, you could still feel its history, the elegance, the summer parties, and the traditions that kept to this day. After more exploring and taking in the views, we grabbed a couple of bikes and set out on the island's perimeter trail. It's a flat 8.2-mile loop that's as scenic and a ride at your own pace relaxing. The route hugs the shore, revealing new vistas around every bend. Pedaling past quiet beaches where driftwood lay scattered, and at others dense cedar forest eloped in a cool shade. The air smelled fresh and earthy, with a mix of pine needles and lake breeze. Along the way, we passed British Landing, the site where the British troops came ashore in 1812 to seize Fort Mackinac during the War of 1812. Today it's peaceful with picnic tables and a dotting green grass knoll, and families skipping stones along the shore. Further along, we stopped at Arch Rock, one of the island's natural wonders. Rising 146 feet above the water, this limestone formation has stood for thousands of years. For the indigenous people, Arch Rock was a sacred place, a gateway between worlds, steeped in legend and spiritual meaning. Climbing the stairs to the viewing platform rewards you with a sweeping view of the Straits, the water below shifting between emerald and sapphire in the changing light. As I explored more of Mackinac Island, I couldn't help but wonder how this place even came to be. The answer lies deep in its geology, and it's a story that goes back hundreds of millions of years. Long before carriages, bikes, and even the Straits of Mackinac existed, the area was covered by a shallow tropical sea. About 350 to 400 million years ago, coral reefs and marine life flourished here. Over time, they remained settled to the sea floor and compressed into layers of limestone and dolomite, which is what we now call the Niagara Escarpment. Now, fast forward to the last ice age around 10,000 years ago, this entire region was locked under massive glaciers. As those glaciers moved, they carved out valleys, smoothed hills, and reshaped the land beneath. And when they finally melted, the rising waters of the ancient Lake Algonquin surrounded what was left, creating Mackinac Island. The island's rocky, thin soils also helped shape its ecology. Mackinac was cloaked in dense cedar and maple forests, wildwood flowers carpeted its trails in the spring. Rare ferns cling to the shaded limestone where few other plants can survive. Even the climate here is unique. The surrounding waters of Lake Huron moderate the temperature, keeping the summers cooler and the winters less harsh than in the mainland. Knowing all of this makes each step on the island feel a little more magical. Every cliff, every rock, every view across Lake Huron is a part of a story that's written over a millennia. Mackinac Island isn't just about its history, it's also packed with many things to do that make each visit unique. You can start with a carriage tour, one of the island's most classic experiences. These horse-drawn rides take you through quiet neighborhoods, past historic landmarks, even up close to spots like Arch Rock, without even breaking a sweat. It's a chance to slow down and soak up all the sights with the rhythmic sound of hooves in the background. For those that like a little adventure, there's horseback riding. Several stables offer guided rides through the island's interior trails. You'll wind through dense cedar and maple forests, catch glimpses of hidden cemeteries, and maybe even spot some wildlife, like foxes or white-tailed deer. If you're more into water, the island has plenty to offer there too. Kayak rentals let you paddle around the shoreline, with stunning views of the limestone cliff, and even the chance to see the Round Island Lighthouse from a whole new angle. And for fishing enthusiasts, charter boats are available for a day out on Lake Huron. For a little more history, visit Fort Holmes, perched at the island's highest point. This reconstructed fort offers panoramic views of the Straits of Mackinac with a glimpse of its military past. Or you can also wander through Mackinac Island State Park, which covers over 80% of the island. You'll find hiking trails, picnic areas, and plenty of quiet spots to just sit and take it all in. As we finished the loop and coasted back into downtown, the sky had started to change dramatically. A massive storm was rolling in from across the lake and looming above us with an ominous shelf cloud, dark, layered, and almost otherworldly as it crept closer. The calm, sunny day that we started with was quickly given way to the gusty winds and the distant rumble of thunder, adding to a dramatic finish to our ride. After the storm finally passed, we found ourselves wandering the downtown streets, ducking in and out of the island's charming shops. Each one had its own character, some filled with handmade jewelry, others stocked with island-inspired home goods, and of course plenty of places offering the island's world-famous fudge. As we strolled, we passed by the iconic Pink Pony, tucked inside the Chipaway Hotel, known for its vibrant pink decor and waterfront views. It's as much as a Mackinac landmark as the Grand Hotel. And if you're not staying here, it's worth popping in for a drink or just to soak up the atmosphere. This place has been a favorite gathering spot for decades. There's something special about shopping here that feels different. Maybe it's the pace, maybe that there's no cars rushing by, no noise except the occasional clip-clop of the carriages, or maybe it's the sense of all the history around, blending seamlessly with the laid-back island life. Mackinac Island is a place that lingers with you far after you leave. Its layers of histories from indigenous traditions to colonial trade, military conflicts, and its Gilded Age tourism, which are written into the land, the buildings, and even the air. Biking along its quiet roads, standing beneath arch rock, and hearing the clip-clop of the horses, these aren't just sights and sounds. They're reminders of a slower and simpler way of life that still strives here. Before leaving the area, we made one final stop at Cherry Republic in Mackinac City, and it felt like walking into a celebration of Michigan's most famous fruit. Cherry Republic started in the small town of Glen Arbor back in the 1980s with one mission: to showcase the beauty and flavor of northern Michigan cherries. Today, it's grown into a local institution with shops scattered across the state. Mackinac City location keeps that same rustic, welcoming vibe, wooden shelves stacked with every cherry product you can imagine. There are cherry salsas with a sweet heat, chocolate-covered cherries that are dangerously addictive, cherry wines and sodas, and even cherry barbecue sauces. It's a testament to Michigan's status as the nation's largest producer of tart cherries, and it's thanks to the perfect growing conditions along the Lake Michigan shoreline. As I browsed, the smell of cherries mixed with hints of chocolate and spices. It's impossible not to sample a few of the things while you're here, and of course I left with a small stash of goodies for the road. Stopping here felt like a perfect way to wrap up our Mackinac adventure. Sweet, unexpected, and full of local flavor. I hope that you've enjoyed this video, and I hope to see you in the next one.